Planets play a major role in astrology, but how much do these celestial objects affect us internally and within cosmic planes of existence? The planets influence our personality development from the moment we're born. Additionally, the movements of the planets can impact our everyday lives in unexpected ways. Consciousness is the individual awareness of your unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, and environment. Essentially, your consciousness is your awareness of yourself and the world around you. This awareness is subjective and unique to you. Consciousness varies in both arousal and content. And there are two types of consciousness experience: phenomena, or in the moment, and access, which recalls experiences from memory. This principle embodies the truth that there's always a correspondence between the law of phenomena, of the various planets and being and life. This law and principle of correspondence is considered an immutable law, one that is impossible to change. Each and every sphere or planet is intricately connected. There is a symbiotic relationship between our personal development and growth cycles, along with the planetary bodies on a personal, individual level. It states that the quality of your life experience corresponds directly with the quality of your thoughts. In other words, it has to do with communication with the different parts of ourselves and the cosmos. You are more of a spiritual being than a physical one. So each and every step you take in your physical life reflects your inner spiritual self. And that is why certain lessons in our lives are repeated over and over again until we actually learn our lesson. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul, is an ancient quote to describe the idea of what happens in higher realm or plane of existence, also happens in the lower realm. It comes from the ancient piece writing called the Emerald Tablets from Hermes Trismegistus. It explains that the macrocosm, the very large, the totality, and the microcosm, the very small, and the individual units which comprise the whole, are reflective of each other. The universe is holographic. It is self-similar across all scales. Finally, in essence, we are spiritual beings having a human experience for the purpose of co-creating and to expand and grow our consciousness. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome, 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 everyone, to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway. And thanks for joining us tonight. We have an enlightening show for you all, and we're talking about how the planets influence our consciousness. And before we get started, please, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Now, let's welcome our panel and greet our chat room participants. Hey, welcome, Teresa DeAnton. Good to see you.
Good
Grandpa
to be here.
Brian, it's good to see
Do I hear
you.
witchy
Sophia,
laugh?
I was shocked. I didn't think you were going to make it tonight, but thank goodness. There's
I
Hannah
heard that
Ray.
witchy
Hannah
poo
Ray,
laugh.
welcome, welcome. And our own little professor and best guy out there who knows a lot about everything, a little bit of this and a little bit of everything. Dalibor Suki, good to have you with us, Dalibor.
Pleased to be here.
Let's wonderful, wonderful. Let's check chat real quick and then we'll get right to it. Zach and company. Very good to see you, Zach. Thank you and welcome.
Yeah,
I think that's the
welcome,
first
Zach.
time for you, so welcome. Mary Wins, always our pleasure to see you in the chat room, as well as Chloe. Max Vision remote viewing, which I'm sure he'll have a class later. You'll have to check it out. Yes, December 1st, Lucky Stone. Thanks for being here. I enjoyed your show last week. It was really good when we took that hiatus for Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I sure did. It was great. Let's see, Pa Joe, good to see you as well, kind sir. Very good to see you. True Seeker, always a pleasure, Jay. Always a pleasure. Glad you're here and with us tonight. Smoking a G Sharp, how are you? Good to see you as well. And I think I'm pretty
Mary
much.
Mansfield. Hi, Mary.
Ah, yes.
Mary's here.
And Barry Chad, Elderberry, good to see you as well. Thanks for
Barry
being
Bro.
here with us. Yeah. All
Squirrel,
right,
buddy.
everybody. Awesome. Good to see you. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Teresa. Teresa's got a few little comments she'd like to make about tonight's subject, and then we'll get into it with the panel and get some discussion going on.
Well, first of all, welcome back, Sophia. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, it was rough, but
Are you going to stay for a little while before you're? You might have to bug out a little early because you have the service tonight, right?
Actually, we finished it and they're doing the after party, but I have commitments and I love my tribe, so I got my own. I got some snacks stash.
Awesome. Looking beautiful.
Got your stash. Yeah, you look great. You look really healthy considering what you've been through with the sinuses. So
yes.
I heard this little cackle just as you were opening the show, Lori. I heard this cackle. I said, "That's Witchy Poo. Where is?" I saw her down there in the
Witchy Poo.
I hear down here. It's just not fast enough. Sorry.
And we're thrilled to have Hannah back with us too. We're thrilled to have her back with us. We enjoyed that Halloween show with you all. That was a lot of fun. And Black Raven, I hope she comes back too. I
love Black Raven. One of my faves.
Really do.
Yeah.
And G was great. She hosted something during the Thanksgiving holidays. It gave Dalibor and I some time together. Lori was with her family, but she popped in and said hello. Yeah, she popped in and said hello. But we had a great time with you, G. That was fun. And Max jumped in.
3.5 hours.
Wow, really? It went that long? Holy.
Yeah. We had a good time. That was a lot of fun. Good. So anyway, to get things started, Lori and I were talking about this. We both had it's one of those things again where we both had like a vision or a dream. Mine was a dream and hers was a download from the guides, and the two meshed to come together with a topic. Little did we know at the time that Sophia was coming down with it. We knew she was sick, but we didn't know how sick.
We had no idea how sick.
We're like, what are we going to do if she can't do her piece? Because she has a production, which we'll get to later. But so anyway, we got this. We put it together. It meshed so well. And that's what happens with Lori and I. We just,
I came out of the dream state, and all I could remember was the title of the show.
Yeah,
and that's what sparked our whole discussion on this. After that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I was given these. It was like I was taken on a trip by one of my guides, and I don't know, and there was this meeting out in the forest, and there was a bunch of us there, and we were having a discussion about the planets, and I'm telling Lori about it, and she's like, I got this. So anyway, it was so funny. But it, as often it is the case with us, it came into a production. So we said, okay, we'll do this as plan B. And Sophia was still not feeling well, so we rolled with it just in case. And now she's feeling. That's all right. That's all right. Hey, Antonio G. Good to see you, Antonio. Okay, so anyway, there's this thing, when we're first coming into an awakening and looking at our spirituality and working on our spiritual development. I don't know about the rest of you, but I, as a kid and as a teenager, the only thing I knew about astrology was, hey, babe, what's your sign?
Typical 70s.
That was it. We're sitting in a Chinese food restaurant going, oh, look, I'm a rat in Chinese, but I'm a crab.
You're the rabbit.
I'm a cancerous, crabby rat. So you get these weird vibes, and then, of course, Reader's Digest always had a little section where you could read,
or the newspaper. Remember when
the newspaper
actually read the newspaper? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even in ancient times, I mean, for the most part, they weren't. Later on, like in the Middle Ages, it just became like this fad for everybody to be running around. What's your sign? And so there's this very and they're good. There's some good things that Lori's going to share with us about that tonight. And but it became like a literalist interpretation, just like scripture sometimes, where it was used as a tool to help you determine who you should hook up with and who you shouldn't, or whether you should go to battle tomorrow or not. Or were the Ides of March? Remember that with Julius Caesar, you know? So it became this, you know, crystal ball kind of thing, like, you know, project my future based on my characteristics and birth sign and personality. And there is something to all that. But then there's the esoteric astrology that not as many people are as familiar with. And it's a spiritual science that goes behind it, best described, I think, in anthroposophy. But it has to do with understanding the function of these planets and seeing them beyond just the physical externals. It's understanding that they're really on an esoteric level, on a spiritual level, a noetic level, sentient, conscious beings and of themselves, intricately woven with a great synergy, not only with our Earth's evolution, but our own personal evolution, because the cosmos, on a spiritual realm, from a spiritual perspective, is an outward reflection of what's going on inside of each and every one of us. So whether it's collectively as a group or as individuals, everything we think, say, do is reflected out into nature as nature is evolving, and it also affects other planetary systems or spheres of realms of existence. So when we talk about heavenly realms, lots of times that's what we're talking about, are the different dimensions of physicality as well as the etheric bodies themselves of each and every planet, which has a personality and signature of its own vibration, its own frequency. And everything that's going on in those planes are somewhat higher level realms because they've been through the evolutionary process that the Earth is going through right now. So you can view them as future aspects of ourselves because they've already had many incarnations here. And now those beings are something else. They might not look like us. They might even be very different in terms of how they present themselves and express their physicality, or they might not have any physicality at all. But they are parts of us, aspects of us at different levels that we can tap into to get guidance. And there are certain telltale signs and signatures of their character and the personalities that they took with them into those realms and how that is reflected back to us. And so Lori's going to start us off with some explanations there and take it from there. But that's basically what we wanted to share with you tonight, is that deeper connection that we have, and we don't even realize it sometimes, that what's going on out in the cosmos. We always think of the cosmos as something external, but once you view your inner verse and everything with your heart, mind, body, and soul, you're looking beyond the physical into a higher vibration of love and light and energy that's all part of Source. And it's all evolving and revolving around one another. And so we can get great strength and lessons and knowledge by listening to the planets. Go ahead, Lori.
I thought it would be interesting. I use the stream book a lot, Betty Bethard's stream book, and I just happened to come across her description of the planets, and I thought this was interesting, that each planet has intelligence or vibration and is interconnected with all other heavenly bodies. Special vibratory rate in relationship to self and others. Cosmic influence, energy, expanded awareness, harmony of cosmic movement, purpose, design. We leave the body at night during the sleep state to study on different planets, incorporating the lessons each has to teach us. They are more advanced schools. And then she goes on to give a quick description of each planet, including the sun. So the sun, light, truth, spiritual center, God force, Christ light, power, energy, masculinity. All life depends upon its light, pivotal force in our lives. And then the moon is on consciousness, emotions, responsiveness, psychic awareness, femininity, intuition, creativity, reflector of the light and truth. Mercury is about the mind, thought, communication, intuition, changeability, messenger of the gods. Venus is about love, beauty, harmony, gentleness, emotion, femininity. And the earth is about growth, learning, grounding, time, space awareness, centeredness, compassion, creativity. Mars is about activity, adventure, assertion, sexual energy, aggressiveness, hostility, passion. Jupiter is about expansion, wealth, abundance of spiritual knowledge and expression, benevolence, luck. Saturn is about discipline, learning, slowness of time, and production, refinement. Uranus, awakening, transcendence, sudden fluctuations, changes, impact, extremes, unusual abilities. And Neptune, unconscious mysticism, inner self, psychic awareness. Pluto, finally, consciousness, unfoldment, transformation, and spiritual expansion. I just found that fascinating to find in my dream book that she actually acknowledged the planets and wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah.
Also, too, I believe Hannah's got a little something to share with us as well that she came across, and you were letting us know in the green room, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it's very fascinating. And Dalibor had some comments about it as well. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I highlighted some things that I thought would be beneficial to say here. I'm just going to start reading.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Kepler from 1599, an astronomer in Germany. He kind of created the theory of harmony. It should be noted that when he used the term harmony, he was not referring to a musical definition, but rather a broader one encompassing the workings of both celestial and terrestrial bodies. The astronomer divided harmonics mundi into 5 long chapters, the first on regular polygons, and second on the concurrence of figures, the third on the origin of the harmonic proportions in music, the fourth on the harmonic in astrology. Kepler discovered physical harmonies in planetary motion. He found that the difference between the maximum and minimum angular speeds of a planet in its orbit is approximately a harmonic proportion. For instance, the maximum angular speed of Earth, as measured from the Sun, varies by a semitone, from mi to fa. Between the greatest distance of the planet's elliptical orbit and the closest distance, he explained, the reason for Earth's small harmonic range, the Earth sings at mi, fa, mi. You may refer even to the syllabus that this is our home, misery and famine hold sway. That's a quote. Kepler's celestial choir is made up of a tenor, the planet Mars, 2 bass, Saturn and Jupiter, a soprano, Mercury, and 2 altos, Venus and Mercury. Mercury is, with its large elliptical orbit, was determined to be able to produce the greatest number of notes, where Venus was capable of only a single note because of its orbit nearly a circular rather than an eclipse. According to Kepler, at a very rare intervals, all of the planets would sing together in perfect concord or a harmony. Later on, Isaac Newton took this theory of harmony and created the theory of gravity. So basically this belief is said that, yeah, like what she said, each planet emits a frequency, and with the law of resonance and universal law, human bodies can connect with the planetary energies and relate to them in what we call astrology. And that could explain in a scientific way why astrology is real and why it is very, very, we can rely on it. And this is the picture I felt like I needed to show, if I can get it.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So these things
Aha,
do
musical.
have chords, and compared to the relative, like compared to where we are on Earth and where every planet is, we are affected as such.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very good. So
That's how we
Sophia.
connect with our frequencies.
Yeah.
With the,
No doubt about it. What you got?
Let's see. This is the acoustics in this room are interesting, and it's been very active tonight, so I'm lightweight distracted, but focusing. The one thing that came forward that I find very intriguing is now that we have, forgive me, chatter, you guys are going to have to help me, that newer telescope. They were able to see the new telescope that's out there now that has this big sail on it. It'll come to me later. It's been a long day. But what I did notice is that on the poles, I believe it was Saturn, there's sacred geometry on the poles of Saturn.
That telescope is James Webb.
There it is. Thanks,
telescope.
Lori.
You got
Bailed me out. But yeah, the James Webb Telescope is giving us more details, more personality, more attitude to the individual energy signatures that each planet encompasses on its own. But to see that sacred geometry on the poles, I delve into, I think it's a six, I think it's like the Star of David, which is on the top of Saturn, which kind of makes sense when you get to know that planet and that philosophy and that religion. It's very restrictive. It's very structured. It's very disciplined. And that, in my opinion, is what Saturn is all about. So now when they go by and do the other planets, I'm looking at the poles, be like, what shape are you? Where are you connected? Because we're all connected. That good old 6 degrees of separation, that everybody has. And I feel the planets are no different. You can't listen to a song unless you know someone is singing, and then determination to dial into and resonate with each individual. In my opinion, the planets are entities. They have their own presence and influence, not only on this planet, but the entire universe. So I've always been attracted to astrology. It was my first love. It actually happened before the runes, believe it or not. Yeah.
I believe that. Speaking of that, that's interesting. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, I was introduced to this book, Linda Goodman's Love Signs, which is a very thick book and very in-depth about each sign. But my mom came home reading this book, and when she did, she read about each of us as the child, like the Leo child. My mom was a Taurus, the Taurus woman. My dad was a Libra, the Libra man. How the relationships correlated, how they interacted, what they brought to the relationship. So this was my first introduction to horoscopes and astrology, and it was interesting because even back, in the late 60s and early 70s, people were not just discovering astrology, but they were really getting into it. And with the age of Aquarius and all that was coming in, it was really a big deal. Dalbor, what's your take on the planets, and what do you think about them?
I mean, I have that same book, Linda Goodman's Love Signs, actually. Yeah, and I
think
also,
the original was Sun Signs, Linda Goodman's Sun Signs, but then she re-released it in '79, and it came out to this. Yeah, anyway.
This is true. I mean, it's a very scientific discipline. It's surprisingly accurate. It's been proven, anecdotally, to be extremely accurate in predicting probabilities and ranges of probabilities. But depending on how granular you can get, it's as accurate as DNA. But again, DNA is just a blueprint. It doesn't mean, just because you have the gene for something, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to manifest that unless the environment is conducive to it. The same deal is with the configuration of planets at the time you were born. However, where a lot of uncertainty enters the picture is that we don't know the time that we were born exactly, because that in and of itself is not an objective data point. It's much more objective to say, okay, at what instant was I conceived? Because that could be pinpointed down to the second, right?
Well, then you could
What?
argue when the soul comes into the body, and you could actually
Yes.
go into that aspect of it as well. Mm-hmm.
Sure. But, why do I say that that's kind of ambiguous? Because you could be born prematurely, or you could be born at term, or it could be like an involuntary triggered childbirth that wasn't supposed to happen, or you could be a test tube baby,
Mm-hmm.
or so you can't really determine the exact instant second that you were born because the birth process itself takes up to an hour, sometimes even more. So for that reason, it might not be all that accurate. Even though what they usually measure is the minute when you are fully out of the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
that's like the official time of birth. But again,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be really, really granular, not just what position was the sun in, okay, when measured against the background stars, or what
Mm-hmm.
position was the moon in, what position was Venus, Earth, Mars, all these other planets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true what Sophia was saying about Saturn. And Saturn actually was the dominant planet that was worshipped by the ancient Hebrews. They, for some reason, worshipped it, and that's where they get that hexagram from, because that's like the inverse of the hexagon. And that's also where you get the color black. That's what it corresponds to, the metal tin, as well as the cube. And the cube, you still have that with the graduation gown to this very day.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
mortarboard,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah, yeah,
symbol of the
yeah.
cube. Plus, you usually wear black. So and that's a ritual that's still preserved to this very day. It's a rite of passage. That's
Mm-hmm.
why the other commenter mentioned that it's the planet of adulting, of becoming an adult,
Mm-hmm.
because it rotates once every 29 years. And once every 29 years is when the planets are in the same configuration as when you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But so that happens every 29 years, meaning it's going to happen when you're 58 or when you're 87.
Mm-hmm. Kind
Uh,
of like those energies come back around.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just like recently we had the same exact energies with Pluto with respect to the United States, because Pluto makes a revolution once every what is it, 270 something years,
240. I think
Yep.
it's 248, something like that.
something like that. Yeah, something like
Wow.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
284.
Interesting.
And that anniversary came up like last year, which means that
Mm-hmm.
Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in the same exact uh, uh, position with respect to the background stars that it was at 1776.
Yep.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So I
Hannah,
think
did
we're
you have?
looking at some
Hannah's been,
transformations.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, Hannah. I got it.
Whenever he said that Saturn was worshipped by Hebrews, I've heard readings of Egypt. Is everyone familiar with the alchemic symbol of the sun with the dot and the circle around
Mm-hmm.
it?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually Saturn with the ring. They in ancient Egypt they would worship Saturn as the sun instead of the actual sun that we see today. The father, they would call it the father, and to me Saturn is a very ancient and great depiction for me as like a divine masculine or like a masculine energy because of the discipline. It reminds me of the Hierophant in tarot.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
some reason. And
Well, that sun is the masculine energy.
very much so. That too.
Yeah.
And another thing with astrology, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think some people's goals too is to kind of transcend the whole idea of astrology and like identifying with every single placement, because I do think that there's some placements in astrology that were meant to heal and learn from and not even identify with them anymore, if that makes any sense. Like for me, I have some weird placements. And it would be almost like a burden to identify with that and not put energy into learning how to overcome them and to not identify with them anymore. So I think that astrology, you're not meant to identify with everything, and to if we're all things, then we're all placements, then we're all energies. And astrology is only a blueprint of the things of this life. But if our goal is to kind of like remember our past lives, or that we're all things, I think in that same breath that astrology would almost be redundant. But in the same breath, it can predict what your life is going to be to the degree of where that placement is. It works. There's no doubt about that. But some people's goal is to transcend that and to learn.
It's a really good guideline. You have to use your own discernment, but it definitely gives you a direction to look at. So I agree, Hannah.
It's interesting that
Steiner,
the Nike logo is actually Saturn, the rings
of
Saturn.
Just do it.
Yeah, it is.
Just do it.
But to follow up on what Hannah was just saying, I think that Steiner tried to explain that once. He was saying that, I have a quote here from him. There are very few key concepts here about the planets that we do need to understand. And he's agreeing with Truth Seeker and some others. First off, the planets, he says, I'm paraphrasing, are worlds that our soul incarnates into in order to evolve. And each planet is a different vibrational frequency. Secondly, we pass through these various planetary bodies upon our death to integrate back into the cosmic evolutionary scheme.
There you go.
There you go.
Confirmation, yeah.
We can also incarnate into these planetary spheres.
Yeah.
And lastly, while incarnated on Earth, we experience the planets as spiritual planes or higher worlds or higher dimensions.
Right.
These planets that we see are both physical and a gateway to the higher worlds, which is what I was saying in the opening. But there you go. That's confirmation. And he got that from downloads from his guides many, many, many years ago.
And
he also called it the sixth sphere.
The sixth sphere.
I thought it was the eighth sphere.
Eighth sphere would be Pluto.
That's the underworld.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
The eighth sphere is really Earth, but it's... Go ahead, Anna. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
I've met people who like completely embody the energy of Venus or Uranus or Pluto, and that's what they're here for, to bring those energies back into Earth. And again, some people's goal is to be in those energies. Some people is to transcend. Some people is to learn from past karmic experiences. So everyone has their own thing going on.
Right.
Truth Seeker, I do agree with you. In Vedic astrology, all the planets are animated and have a form of consciousness. Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. I agree.
I'm curious, does anyone here on the panel have any experiences with or have had any visions or dreams about a past life in another one of those planes? In or on one of those planets?
No, but I did have one of my dreams I had included the sun. And it was a really bizarre dream where everything was hyperinflationary. Everything was like hundreds of thousands of millions of euros. And the sun looked like it had a chunk taken out of it between about 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock position, and then a smaller one, like a bite taken out of it around the 4 or 5 o'clock position. And it was weird, and people were staring at it with fear, and nobody knew what was going on.
Right. Yeah. I had a couple with another tribe member about Mars. And I've had a couple visions of things on most primarily Mars and the moon. But beyond that, I also took a trip and had a vision of being part of a group of people on Venus before the incarnation into Atlantis. So you see, I think it's very cyclical. From what I've been getting, is that as we go through, we have different roles. We take little breaks or have other initiations along the way to cycling back around to our incarnation here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have all those aspects that we've picked up and those lessons learned along the way. But we have amnesia when we come into Earth and don't remember it because we have to experience the Earth's initiations. And then we keep going through the cycles. And so I think a lot of people I have heard in the spiritual community saying things like, I don't believe I'm from here. I don't think I didn't originally incarnate here. I wasn't seated here. And it's because they've been through so many layers and they're starting to remember, hey, I connected with, the Palladians, or hey, I connect with the Arcturians. And I think it's because they've been through these cycles of initiation in these other worlds and now in these other planes, and now they're back on Earth again. And so they don't feel like they're home because this isn't where. And it could be that their very first incarnation was on a different plane. Doesn't mean that everybody had to start here at Earth.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to that vision that I had immediately after I had my stroke, was that every single one of us is an alien on an alien planet.
And what's an alien? Us. We're all,
we're all aliens.
There is no alien. The truth of the matter is we think it's alien or extraterrestrial because we think of it in a physical aspect. We don't see it as the totality of the wholeness of the consciousness.
Right.
It has many facets to it. So, what's an alien?
And I would say one of the ways that we can consider ourselves aliens is that, we should be influenced of all the planetary bodies. The one that should have the dominant influence over us should be the Earth, but it's not true. The one dominant planet over all of our lives is the sun.
Yeah.
Yes. That's got the most influence over everything's planting, seasons.
Oh, yeah. Most of it. Without
weather.
The sun, you don't have life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. True Seeker. Yes, I remember that. In fact, on my channel, Pure Love Ascension, I did a pendulum session with Mars. And the most surprising thing I got out of that pendulum session was, I think I asked the question, is there life on Mars? And it came back saying, teeming with life. And that surprised the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was interesting. It's been several years, but thanks for remembering that, True Seeker.
I do want to get to this comment from
this one here.
And then Brian, did you get a chance yet to put in your? I don't know if we ever got around. Okay, I didn't think so. The Earth is out of balance because of rejection of love by those blinded by materialism. You're getting to the heart and the crux of the matter here with that statement, because just the correspondence, as above, so below. So within, so without. There's a reflection of both our good nature and our not so good natures, our past initiations and our failed initiations, our willingness to put our faith in source and be part of the consciousness of love and life and collected energy, or our choice to turn away from that and pursue other avenues. So you have your planes above and your planes below, and each is an exact opposite of the other. So you might have higher realms, you have the equal amount of lower realms. They mirror each other, but in the reverse order. And so what you're seeing in today's beautification of our current evolution in Earth is people making that choice and waking up and saying, I want to be the reflection of the upper realms. I don't want to be a reflection of the lower realms. Those that are choosing that reflection are the ones that are buying into things like too much science, or belief in cloning, or belief in artificial intelligence as being a salvation for their continual eternal life. We talked about that on G's show the other night. So I kind of agree with you. There are a lot of people are turning away, and so things seem out of sync, and things are out of balance, and they're going to be for the next 4,000 years. Because it is part of our evolutionary process.
Well, sure,
we've been here before and we're doing it again.
Because in the realms above us, there's no such thing as materialism, right? But right now we're descending into an age where science is not just the collective endeavor to arrive at the truth. It's a topic that's worshipped like a god itself. In other words, we're worshiping things like, the earth or the sun or whatever. No, we should be worshiping only one thing, and that's the truth. That's it.
Yeah. Yes. Don't want to forget about Grandpa Brian. Give him an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've been trying to get to Grandpa Brian, but the conversation has been riveting.
We're sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
It's all good.
Yep. I just want to start off by saying thank you, Sophia, for teaching me the basics of astrology and sharing your knowledge with me. I mean, she is a wonderful, wonderful teacher.
Awesome.
I, too, have had a past life on Mars. I've seen a little bit of it. My last incarnation there was over 65,000 years ago. I have talked to Jupiter a few different times. Even though Venus is my ruling planet, I have a strong connection for some reason with Mars, and I do communicate every once in a while with, or not Mars, but Jupiter. The planets being aligned when you're born. I mean, I've had a birth chart done, and wow, to my personality to a T. And it makes me think when Delbert said, well, you got to look at a premature baby. Well, when you come into this world with certain lessons that you need to learn or certain agreements, the time that you come in, the planets are aligned to where you have the personality to do what you need to do here. So I think it's all
great way of putting it. Yeah.
Preordained, not only with the contracts that you have with people, but the planets being aligned to give you the personality and the best opportunity to complete all those missions and whatever else you have to learn here. If people would just, the planets want to talk to us, reach out. I started out with a pendulum, just asking them questions. And then it got to where I don't need to use the pendulum anymore. If I want to talk to Jupiter, I go into a deep meditation and I talk to Jupiter. If I want to talk to my ruling planet Venus, I talk to Venus. And the cool thing is, Jupiter is up in the middle of the sky right now for us. And then if you get up early in the morning before the sunrise, you'll see that big old beautiful planet Venus. So I get to see Venus and feel that energy that rules me every morning. And then I get to be the protector of our planet, which Jupiter is our protector. It grabs a lot of stuff that comes into our solar system that could hit us. That's why it has so many moons, so much debris floating around it, because it just grabs to protect us and our planets from getting hit by stuff.
I'm just so wowed right now. I can't believe
me too.
Because every time I connect to an energy, a planetary energy, it's usually with a being who represents that planet, never directly with the planet. You talk to the planet.
Well, they're a sentient, being. Yes.
Yeah, they're
just as you
are.
Duh.
Yeah, they want to communicate with us. They want to, share their knowledge with us. I think it was Europa that I was on and just staring at Jupiter and having a conversation with Jupiter. Oh, it's probably 20, 30-minute conversation, just talking about the energies and what's going on out there and what's flowing into our universe. And, I always ask how they're doing. Has your frequency changed? What energies are you experiencing? You just ask simple questions like that and you'll get the answers, because they want to talk to us. They want to communicate. And
just out of curiosity, have you talked to Jupiter?
Oh, yes. I've talked to Jupiter probably 30, 40 times.
So can you tell me if Jupiter has confirmed with you that is our new Earth, that their energy through their evolution is our next phase of evolution? The Jupiter is what we're evolving into in terms of our etheric energy. Go ahead, Hannah.
I don't know how I know this, but it's not exactly, but it's helping the process because it's the planet of expansion. I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah. The energies that are coming in are actually helping all the planets evolve to their next evolution.
So what I've also been told, I'm not sure who, but compared to all of the sentient life planets everywhere, we're only like about 2 to 5% evolved. This is kind of the beginning of the mass awakening. This is a big process, but I don't even think that we can really fathom right now what Earth would be like on a 50% scale, but we're pretty low on the scale compared to all the other conscious awake planets.
Well, we're at the bottom of that.
We're very
we came through. Yeah, we came through. We're in that. What is it? The 5th or 6th? Yeah, we're at the bottom, and then we're rising up now. We're rising up now, and that's why we're feeling all this heaviness, and that's why all this catastrophic stuff is going on around us, because we have to go through all that to initiate our way out, to lift ourselves. We're going to get lighter.
We're going to get
lighter and lighter.
We're cleansing out denser energies. People are either getting really, really hungry or not hungry at all. There's kind of a split happening. It's really interesting. Dimension hopping. It's a lot of intense energy right now.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something, Hannah. I think what you're saying, there is truth in this, because for the past 6 months, my eating habits have completely changed. Not because I'm trying to lose weight, not because of sugars or anything. It's because I'm just not hungry.
Yeah, and
I'm only eating. And Lori started long before I did. She started the fasting thing. But with me, it was just, I'm just not hungry the same way.
Yeah,
I eat really small portions, and I nibble, or I'll eat, like today I pigged out because I was just hungry, but usually I don't.
Intuitive eating, I call it. Yeah,
intuitive eating. That's it. That's it. But this is part of the ascension symptoms, right, Lori?
Yeah, oh, most definitely. Yep.
And that's what Hannah's saying.
Yeah.
And our bodies are going to be lighter too.
Very lighter. We're going to be glowing. Our cells are going to be turning into more crystalline structures. Are they tetrahedrons? Like it's the Star of David. Our cells are going to be more turning into the Star of David's. I don't know how I know that. It was just shown to me. Like if you look, like in the sun, your skin will have like this crystalline glitter to it, and we're turning more into our, I don't even know what type of bodies, but I don't
know.
Light bodies.
Light bodies.
Sure.
Sophia, you've been taking this in.
The symbol of the hexagram, that's also an alchemical symbol for alcohol, because it's the combination of 2 symbols, one for fire and one for water.
Sophia,
water,
do you have a something's coming across to you? I know it is.
Yeah. Well, one, it's a headache.
Headaches kind of
took some medicine, get rid of
I
it.
had a bad one yesterday myself.
Man.
Same here.
Did you? Well, that's interesting. I mean,
I am listening very intently. I love the fact that this topic comes up, because then everybody can go to whichever website serves them to draw up their birth chart. Because in my opinion, I study Western astrology. I haven't really gotten into Vedic. I stick to what I know, and
interesting.
What a coincidence. Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I love the fact, because in my opinion, in my experience with astrology, is it shows you your strengths, and it can show you your challenges. It shows you what planets are connected to each other. It shows you a myriad of things. For me, it would be energetic DNA, because I'm of the persuasion of reincarnation. I believe we pick our birthdays because we have certain energy signatures to be launch pads into this earth walk, if you will. And it's just know thyself. I'm always, it's right up there with the runes and natural law. If you don't know yourself, then
What's the point?
It's not going to be a very
Yeah.
ride down
Yeah.
here.
So it's so interesting that you mentioned this, Sophia, because and also Chloe, I'm going to show you a good way for you to learn how to do your birth chart. And anybody else watching that wants to know about that. But if you bear with me for just a second, I'm going to share some information here. I'm going to do a share screen. Okay. Yeah, I feel you had a bad sinus headache. Can you see that? Everybody see that? Okay.
Yep.
So your unique birth chart tells us exactly where each planet constellation was in the sky at the moment of our birth, and each planet associated with the specific traits that impact our individual characters, moods, strengths, and the weaknesses. So this is interesting. If you're new to astrology or you're curious about it, I think this is a really good tool to use to kind of get a general idea about what you came into this life and what you're learning about, and it also teaches you a lot about yourself. It does go in this article. It does go into the planets. The sun represents our identity, ego, and sense of self. The moon is the ruler of the emotions, very similar to what Betty Bethards was talking about at the beginning of the show. Mercury governs communication, intellect, and awareness. And Mars governs our energy, passion, drive, and determination. So these energies, it's real important to understand how these energies work. Venus is all about pleasure, beauty, and harmony. Jupiter rules over luck, growth, and abundance. And Saturn rules over hard work, boundaries, and the passage of time. Uranus governs social change and technological advancement. And Neptune governs the ability to transcend reality and harness energy. And Pluto governs creation, death, power, and transformation. So I wanted to share with you, I found this gal and I watch her channel. Her name is Raka Goldsmith, and she's an excellent astrologist. And she has, if you go to her website, and this information's in the description for you folks so that you can check it out. But if you scroll down here and you click on get a free report, and I'm telling you, it is free. You click on that free report, you put your information in here. And I did this just to check it all out. You click on submit. And when you do that, we have a really cool page that comes up. And this is my chart and where everything was located, my time of birth, the date. In fact, I know exactly all this information. This gave me my chart and where everything is connected. And I'll scroll up here. So what this did is this gave me an understanding of what my rising sign is, and that's in Gemini. My sun is in Leo, moon is in Leo, Mercury's in Virgo, Venus is in Leo. And so when you go and you start to look at these, you get a lot of description and understanding about yourself. Jupiter in 19 degrees in Aries, the way that you grow and develop is by being an uncompromising individualist. You have a great need to be yourself and to explore your latent talents and abilities. Do not be afraid to let yourself go and develop self-confidence and pride in your accomplishments, but try not to become too self-centered, that you ignore the needs of others. Also may have a buildup of your self-discipline in order to focus on your energies properly. So that self-centeredness, that was something I did have to work through. And ignoring the needs of others. I had to really work through some of these things. So I found this just fascinating. I think if you guys get into this, you'll learn a lot about yourself, and it really is just super interesting to learn about yourself.
So, Chloe, is Lori answering your question? She said, but what does that chart really mean, and what does all that mean? It's giving you insight about your blueprint, about your nature based on your relationship with other levels of planes and spheres and planetary bodies. So it gives you a starting point to begin to understand more about who you are in terms of all the evolutions you've had as a soul. through all of time in all the different planes, and it brings that to teach you things about yourself. It gets you started into thinking. It's a tool, not to be taken literally, not to box yourself in, but to have enough data points about who your character is, so that as you start remembering things and you start comparing how you're responding to things in your current life, you'll get a more of a feel for who you truly are, and it'll bring you into your internal introspection. It'll help drive you and help you to develop.
Those numbers are also significant because, Lori, in your case, you have 2 instances of 19, 2 instances of 22, and 2 instances of 25 repeating.
Yeah.
Most of those numbers are odd numbers, except for 3 even numbers, if you notice.
Yeah.
That's also significant.
Interesting, huh? So it really does give you an indicator. It's a place to start if you're just getting into all of this, a way to look at yourself and see, how much, what are the things that you need to work on? What are the things you're doing well? That kind of a thing. So I thought that was really important to share, Chloe. So if you got something out of it, it was worth the time and energy.
I think it's useful to point out that the only thing I would strongly, and I feel strongly about this, and I know Dalibor and I have talked about it before, and that is to use it in such a way that you end up boxing yourself in, or using it to determine your path, using it and relying on it almost like in a godlike way, like a salvation tool, or I'm afraid to get into this relationship with somebody, or I'm afraid to make a business decision because my charts say I shouldn't.
At the same time, you have to know, not just based on the chart, but also your personal experiences, what flies and what doesn't. Like, according to my chart, the number 21 is bad, really bad for me. Maybe not bad for you, but in my life, everything bad that has ever happened has had the number 21 associated with it. Including my latest capital acquisition, house number 21, right there. Which has proven to be like an unending conundrum.
That's another way to do it.
That's the key.
Is life path numbers.
As we talked about,
your name has numbers. Yeah.
G's show, I'm also uniquely tied into the number 3, where you have repeating sets of 3s in every single one of my data points. I was born exactly 33 years and 3 days before 9/11. I was born exactly 3 weeks and 3 days after the invasion of Czechoslovakia, and I live exactly 333.0 kilometers from the exact spot I was born.
I have to.
So is 3 your favorite number?
No.
Is 3 your favorite?
No, I would say I think my favorite number would be 23.
Okay, which
23
is a 5.
Yeah. Yep. Which is always about change.
To 5. Yes, exactly.
Go ahead, Hannah.
So
yeah, Hannah.
With all the 3s going on, would you say that you have a gift in communication or associate yourself with both?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say no. Yeah, definitely. Communication. I mean, I speak. How many languages do I speak?
Exactly.
How many languages?
That's communication at best. Yeah.
Hannah. He not only has multiple languages, he has a blog site. He's an author. And he's a guest speaker on many other channels just besides ours.
Yeah, I thought I was just being silly, but 3 represents communication. So
does it?
Yeah. And 5 represents change. And it's really I don't know, very interesting. It's awesome.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, so basically what that means for me in practical day-to-day life, I avoid the number 21 at all costs. So, if there's like an interesting house I'm looking at, if I find out that it's like the number 20, house number 21, no way. Not even going to look at it.
Mary,
even if it reduces to a 3.
I know. That's the paradox.
Yes. Yeah.
I love what Mary's saying here.
Yeah, I look at astrology like a weather report. Knowing how the cosmic winds are blowing allows me to be more prepared for what may happen. It's like seeing there's rain coming and grabbing an umbrella.
That's really cute.
So it helps you to prepare, but it's not like the weather report often changes and is not set in stone. It's when you take it literally and you keep from yourself from doing something because that might influence you. Now that's your choice, and like Dalibor was saying, it takes a great deal of intuition. And as Hannah was saying, so, and Hannah has something she wanted to. Did we get to Hannah's question?
Yeah.
Okay.
All I gotta say.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Hannah.
Sometimes it lags. All I gotta say is the times whenever I knew that there wasn't or something in the stars basically was like, it wasn't like a classic app telling me not to do this, but it would be more me reading the stars and me having the intuitive, like, okay, I shouldn't change my job, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that. And I did it anyway. It always backfired on me. So I'm gonna put it there. And then whenever it was like a really cool, like, planetary energy where it felt really comfortable to move my money or change jobs or have a conversation that needed to happen, it always worked really good for me in my favor. So I don't know.
And apparently for some people it doesn't work that way. Go ahead, Teresa. You've been chomping at the bit for this. Go ahead.
I'm not chomping, but I understand,
you are.
Chloe. I understand, Chloe, because I've had charts too, and Lori and I were talking before the show about this, is to point out that depending on who's doing the chart, what their experiences are, you have to really pick a source. Now, Sophia has a great source that she uses. Lori's using Braca Goldsmith. I might trust a certain person to do a reading on me, but not everybody is going to give you what you feel is the perfect fit. And in fact, mine wasn't none of mine were a perfect fit. They are a guideline. They have certain aspects of my personality that gave me some insight. There were some things that were just dead, totally off. So it depends on who's doing the reading, and it's like anything else, like Lori was saying, it's like when you have a tarot reading, you take what you sync with, and the others you just toss out. So that's how I use those charts.
I agree with Antonio that because you don't know how to interpret the chart, possibly that might be one of the reasons. So thank you for bringing that up, Antonio.
Thank you.
Yep.
Not just that, but it's like what I mentioned before. There's ambiguity as to like your exact date and time of birth, because don't forget, I'm already in December 2nd. You guys are still in December 1st.
That's true. That's true.
Because
Yeah.
I will always be 6 hours ahead of the East Coast of the United States.
Right.
So that's one thing. In Australia, it's already a day ahead, right? Versus US time, because it's on the other side of the planet. The other thing is the birth itself takes maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. So, do you consider the time of your birth as when you first came out of the birth canal or when you finished coming out of the birth canal?
Yeah. Mary, Teresa.
Sorry.
It's okay. Mary Mansfield, exactly. Astrologers are still human and bring their own bias to the reading, no matter how much they might try to keep them out. So it's just important to remember that. Something to consider. So just trying to give you a balance on both sides of this astrology thing. Well, everybody, we are getting to the end of the show. We're already an hour into this, and maybe want to give final thoughts. Hannah, I'll give you final thoughts first if you'd like.
Yeah.
It seemed like you had something to say.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really good to remind yourself that it's just a tool. If you over-identify yourself with anything material on this planet, there is a possibility of you getting lost in it. So at the end of the day, it's just a tool for whatever you will yourself into.
Yes.
For most, it's growth. For others, it's entertainment. And it's just, for me, it's just really good to ground in, like, okay, but I'm human. I'm meant to grow. I'm meant to be here. And
you're meant to make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Good job, Hannah. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank
really
you.
Enjoyed you being on the show.
I love being here, and
Good.
I think Chloe said that I make really good music, and I just wanted to say thank you, Chloe.
That's sweet. Grandpa Brian, any final words for you?
Yeah, I want to. The influence of the planets haven't always been like this on Mother Earth. From what I learned, when the infinite creator created man, the planets marveled at us, and that our spirit was able to leave this planet where their spirit was confined to the planets. So they asked the infinite creator, God, whatever you want to call him, they're going to be able to, they're able to leave their planets where we can't. So give us the opportunity to influence them in the decisions that they make in their lifetimes. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grandpa Brian.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sophia, last any comments?
I love
takeaways.
I love astrology. I think it's a powerful tool. Just like any tool, it is a skill. And I'm not a fan of sharing my chart with people because not everybody has the best intentions.
I bit the bullet to do it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
you
bit
did.
the bullet. Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
I got a lot of courage. Yep.
Yeah, you do. Well, and you're lovingly guided and protected as well. So
yes, she is.
True.
That's right.
I would say whatever you can use, astrology included, numerology, etc., to unfold your gifts, why you're down here, what are you, and why are you here? That's what astrology teaches me. You can look at the character flaws and what some person or other put into a database to kick out whatever description. Get to know the astrology for yourself. What astrology, like Aquarius is, or excuse me, Aries is projective, Taurus is receptive. There are patterns that most of the time you're not looking at the sign per se, but a interpretation of the ruling planet that's behind it. That is very liberating to me, and I love astrology. It's like, this might not be the best aspect, but dang, your aces over here, baby. Focus on the aces. Don't use your own birth chart to kick your own butt. That's not, in my opinion, what it's there for.
No.
Yeah.
Look at what you're good at.
I love that.
Absolutely. The positive. Yep. Wonderful, Sophia. Absolutely wonderful. Delabor, any final thoughts about tonight's show?
Well,
what
they
the
say millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires do. Okay.
Right.
Ooh,
and
excellent point.
As for your personal biases affecting like how you interpret that chart or whatever, a lot of that is confirmation bias, and a lot of confirmation bias stems from retrocausality. Namely, if you've been led to believe that a certain number is bad for you, then it really is bad for you because you've made it so.
Yeah.
And you should doubly avoid it. And a lot of people say, oh, well, how come only these numerical coincidences only happen to you? Again, know thyself. It's because I know all my numbers, okay? I know my exact time and date and place of birth. I don't know yours, Lori, too well, or anybody else's as well as I know my own numbers. I know what my phone number was 35 years ago. And if that number comes up during like a confirmation code, I'll be like, oh my God, where did that come from? Why is that here? What is that meant to tell me? So again, use discrimination or discernment and use that as a tool. That's one of the things in your toolbox, along with your intuition, that you're meant to use.
Yeah. As a tool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Teresa, any final thoughts and takeaways? Oh, I'm sorry, Sophia. You want to make a comment? You go right ahead.
It's real quick. Basically, I saw something that says, your ancestors gave you more than wounds. They give you strengths as well. And that's what anybody that's going to delve into astrology, even a little bit, their law of balance, what you look like is a challenge. There's virtue there. You just have to look on the other side of the coin, where some people would say you're stubborn. Well, you know what? That's called fortitude and the virtue. So when you're exploring your chart, be nice to yourself, because in my persuasion, you picked it. You did that to you, so you can evolve.
Retrocausality.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
But
Why
be
did
nice
I
to
choose
you.
this?
The whole world's gonna kick your
Yeah.
butt. Don't kick
Yep.
your own. Come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Right on,
Yeah.
Sophia. Right on.
Yeah. Be nice to
Awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say don't use it to. I agree with everyone's final thoughts. I couldn't say it any better.
Awesome.
I just don't like to see it used as a
Mhm.
battering ram
Right.
to cause a wedge. Do no harm, and
Mhm.
be kind to yourself, as Sophia just said, and love
Yes.
one another with it. Use
Mhm.
it as a tool for love and appreciation.
Mhm.
If I'm having a difficulty understanding why a person is a certain way,
Mhm.
and they share with me some things that it might give some insight, to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But in any case, but using it as a tool to scope out your relationship with somebody, it might give you some insight into that relationship. But use your intuition and connect with your guides and
Right.
get to know just ask the person, what are you about? What do you like? What do you don't like?
Mhm.
What are your
Genuinely,
positive
right?
experiences? Just have a
Mhm.
genuine interest and concern for somebody. The charts can help you understand a little bit of the dynamics and maybe move you in a certain direction so you can understand more. But
Mhm.
getting to know people on a personal, interpersonal level with a heart connection, you don't need astrology. But
Mhm.
astrology is a good tool to help
Mhm.
you understand
Indeed.
relationships. Okay?
Beautiful.
So just
Well
that's
said.
all I would say.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, wonderful
Right.
show, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, we're doing the runes next week. We were talking about that, so let's just put the good intent out. We get to do
You
the
gotta
rune
crunch it into an
show.
hour.
Well, we actually
But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
we have a
No,
guest.
no.
We have a guest
Yeah,
next week. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's
It was just that's coming. Yeah. If you want to tell them a little bit about it, that's fine.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hope Upchurch has introduced us to a friend of hers, and she is fantastic. She and her husband. He does numerology. She's does past life
Ellen and
regression.
Paul.
Ellen
Mm-hmm.
and Paul, and Ellen
Mm-hmm.
is a surrogate, past life surrogate. So that's really interesting, the kind of work she does. But she's also an artist, a poet, a writer, and a children's book writer, and she teaches children to connect with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Works with them on their self development of spiritual tools and gifts like seeing auras, experiencing the intermediary realm, the elves and the fairies. But she also teaches them how to connect to different concepts, and how to do things like remote viewing and things. She just has this whole series of books for children, and they're just wonderful couple, very super nice, and they're so different in how they work with these tools to help people that we just thought it would be a lot of fun to bring them on and introduce them to you all, and so you could get to know them a little bit. And they're just a fun group, a couple to work with, and we're delighted to give them an opportunity to join us
We're looking
Friday.
forward to that. Sophia,
That
we
was
can
already
always
set.
do. Yeah. Sophia, we can always do part 1, part 2, whatever we need to do. It's your deal. So
Yeah.
I will cater to whatever you want to do with that, Sophia.
We could do it like layers, like Shrek and an
Sure.
Onion.
There you
Just do
go.
layers.
There you go.
A layer
There
at
you
a
go.
time. I
That's what
love
this
that.
is. That's what
That's
he does.
Yeah,
awesome.
we'll get together and go over the schedule, Sophia, to pick a new date.
Right.
Right
But
on.
for now, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye and choose love, and the rest is cake. Have a great night, everybody. Wonderful weekend. Love you all.
Yeah.
Peace.
Eat cake.
Later.